Hello there, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you may be. This is Dari on WorldStreams Radio. Thank you to our listeners from around the world for joining us. To learn more about WorldStreams, visit our website, worldstreams.org. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/worldstreams and facebook.com/worldstreams.worldmusic, and our past programs are now available on iTunes. Our very special guest today is David Garrett. Prodigy violin soloist David Garrett reached and surpassed many important milestones before he even attended the Juilliard School in New York. Winning over audiences since the release of his self-titled debut album in June 2009, David has also had 2 successful PBS specials supported by sold-out headlining concerts across the U.S. His new CD, Legacy, has proved to be an exceptional success, landing at #1 on the top of the UK's classical chart. Legacy has also achieved platinum status in Germany, where it was impressively the highest debut on pop charts for a classical instrumental recording since the inception of that chart in 1962. Hello, Saeed. Hello and welcome, David. It's really an honor and pleasure to have you with us on WorldStreams today.
Thank you very much for having me on the program.
Thanks for being with us today. Could you tell me a little bit about this piece that we just heard, the Tambourin Chinois, correct?
Right. It's a beautiful piece written by Fritz Kreisler. Basically, the new album consists of the Beethoven Violin Concerto, and since I think the most beautiful cadences are done by Fritz Kreisler for the Beethoven Concerto, which I'm also playing on this CD, I thought it would make sense to combine it with a few of his most beautiful works, and one of them was the Tambourin Chinois, which I got to rearrange for symphony orchestra. I think the original version is just piano and violin. I think it works beautifully.
Wonderful. So you are currently touring in New York yesterday,
Yes.
today, and tomorrow. Where are you playing today?
I actually just had a couple of TV things. I'm doing a little promo for the record release. Today and tomorrow there's still something set up. I think I'm doing Good Morning New York tomorrow morning, and then just a couple of more interviews, and then it's back into the studio for the next album, which we will start recording, I think on Saturday is the first day, and just going to be another crossover project, recording at the Electric Lady Studios here in New York.
Wonderful. So going back to 1999, that was the first time you decided to come up to Juilliard. Tell us about that experience.
Well, I was, until then, of course, living with my parents in Germany, and I already had played for Isaac Perlman a few times when I was younger, and at this point he was just starting to teach and take over the studio of Doris DeLay in New York at the Juilliard School, and I don't know, I thought it was a wonderful opportunity to study with him for a few years, and I never had like a specific music education. I mean, obviously I finished high school, but I just felt there was still something missing, and I was still young enough to kind of go for it, so I decided to just move over here to New York and study with Perlman, as well as attending the Juilliard School.
Absolutely. Tell us about your first experience. Did you grow up in a musical family, or was it just something that happened that at a very young age you decided that this is what you want to do?
I grew up in a musical family. My mother was a professional ballet dancer for many years. And my dad, who was a lawyer, or still is a lawyer, did have his own business. He also loved to listen to classical music, played a bit the violin, not on a professional level, but he was very fond of classical music, so I did start listening to a lot of classical music at a very early age. And Well, my brother Alex, who was 2 years older, started to pick up the violin, but kind of got bored with it quite early into the process.
Mm-hmm.
So I inherited his instrument, and I had quite a lot of fun with it.
So tell us about how one does get hooked into an instrument like the violin. You said your brother was getting bored with it. So it takes a lot of perseverance, right?
Yeah, you got to be stubborn, but I never had a problem with that. I was just something, somehow somebody who wanted to kind of reach the next level, and of course it's an instrument which you struggle for many, many years, and I certainly not always practiced on my own behalf. There was definitely some pressure coming from my parents, but in the end, it was really something I wanted to do, and I always enjoyed music making, and part of it was playing the violin, of course.
Is that how your passion came from, to introduce classical music to young audiences?
Well, that kind of came much later, because obviously when I was a kid, I played because I liked doing it, and I think especially studying in Juilliard school and after I graduated, I felt it was kind of important to have something to work on. Besides me enjoying music, I think it's very important, almost a young musician's responsibility to kind of share what I love doing with a lot of people, and especially young audiences. I think especially I can connect with my generation, and it's great music. Why not share it?
Right. So your first CD that you came, it's called Free. Tell us a little bit about that one.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the last part.
The first CD, if you could tell us a little bit about it.
Well, the first CD which I did after leaving Juilliard school was actually released by Universal Records. I just re-signed with them about a year after graduation, and it was a little bit of a crossover project, which I always had in mind. I started writing, especially during Juilliard school. I wanted to integrate also, what I learned, obviously, in school, and just, start doing something fresh, start doing something which, of course, is based on my classical education, but I just was looking for something fun to do, and something which, was not what I've done in the past.
How many years were you at Juilliard?
4 years.
Now, you're before Juilliard, you started, actually, your classical career began at the age of 9, when you played your first symphony concerts. Tell us about the evolution of how did that affect you very much, your career in the future?
Well, I think when you start very young, there are two sides of it. First of all, you don't really know what's happening. I mean, obviously, you know that people have certain expectations. The older you get, the more you actually feel the pressure. But, at 89, maybe 13, 14, 15, you do it because, you can do it well, and people seem to appreciate it. It's not that you really do it because you choose to do it. It's just something which happens. I think, though, when you grow up, you have to make a conscious decision. But, of course, being successful at such a young age always makes it also more difficult to develop into a mature artist, because what is more spectacular than being 12, 13-year-old playing Brahms concerto or Beethoven with a symphony orchestra? You have to start looking for your own identity at some point. Why are you doing it? And you have to make sure that this is really something you want to do, not something you just can do very well.
How did your taste evolve with the pieces that you played when you were between 9 and 14 up to 16 and later on?
Well, I think when you're very young, you just have to have a good musical instinct, because anything else will not be helpful. I think the older you get, the more you try to discover music, you try to think about it. But at that age, it really is, people call it talent. I call it like a musical instinct, how to phrase, how to use the vibrato, how to adapt to a certain piece, what kind of style to perform it. But then, of course, at some point you have to go through a time where you really have to work with the manuscript. You really have to make sure you know where composer is coming from, you know the era, you really work with the material. You try not to involve yourself, your own thoughts too much, to try to get it as close as possible to what is written. And then again, I think after that process, you start again playing with instinct. So basically, it's back and forth.